They both are really funny.
Good idea.
They just go with the flow. It's the Hershey and Keegs Show.
Welcome to Hershey and the Keegs Show, starring pitcher Mark Hirschman and his personal catcher, Mike Keegan. Every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. live from the Governor's Comedy Club radio studio. Thanks so much for listening.
Here we are for the Hershey and the Keegs Show. I'm in a very weird situation. This is very bizarre to me. In 3 years, this is only the second time this has happened where my boy Keegs is not here. He's out doing a comedy gig. So we, for the second time only, the first time was Pig Vomit. The second time we have Christopher Marie Monti as our guest host. So thank you so much for stepping in tonight, buddy boy.
No problem, man. It's like, just tell everybody it's Keegan, and he was just dieting for the last 2 weeks.
No, he had a big gig, and we know that that's important. It's important to the growth of this show and to his career. So Mikey's off doing his thing, and me and you will rock and roll a little bit. We have Tony on the dials. Before we do anything, we'll do our first run of sponsors, and then we're gonna cover some stuff. So the Hershey and the Keegs Show is brought to you by Sip and Serve Waitress and Bartending Service. Elevate your next private party with the Sip and Serve Squad. Their awesome bar and wait staff will ensure your event will be unforgettable. Book now and let them handle the details while you enjoy the celebration. Call Jen at 516-528-6783. Hershey and the Keegs Show is also brought to you by New View Construction. Established in 2007, they are the people to call for the finest craftsmanship and all of your general contracting needs. Call 516-924-5627 and do it with confidence. And then, of course, we have American Restoration Solutions. When disaster strikes, they will guide you to recovery. Call 516-662-9377 and ask for a senior account manager, Keith Dunn. That will do it with the first set of sponsors. We will first cover, this isn't a disaster, but Tony brought it up to my attention right before the show started, and I think he was thinking that I was going to have a flip out or some sort of a seizure.
I did.
There seems to be a little bit of a technical glitch going on in the studio. Every 30 to 60 seconds, you guys might see a faint something pop up on the screen. It is from Wirecast, which is essentially the company that we use to run our podcast through and all the podcasts at Governor's Comedy Club radio studio. And there's a technical glitch. The company is coming in here to look at it later on in the week. So just kind of ignore it. Just like you do me and Mike every week. Just ignore it, and it shouldn't be much of an encumbrance. And just like Christopher Monti will not be much of an encumbrance. Monty's been a guest of ours multiple times, and I will be very honest. When it comes to doing this show, I'm in a comfort zone with my boy Keegs. That's my guy. We started this show together. We've had a nice run, and the idea of co-hosting with someone else is not something that I love. But no. Let me
Thanks,
finish.
Man. So welcoming.
Let me finish. But again, the first time we did it with Rich Kleiman, Pig Vomit, my good buddy and a content creator for our show, and that went well. And then we were under the impression, Mike and I, that we were going to be having no show next week because Tony had told us a few months ago that he was busy on the 25th, and I wasn't comfortable not having a show 2 weeks in a row. As we sat down just now, Tony said, "Oh, by the way, I'm available next week." I told Monty we could pack it in.
That's it.
But we will have a show next week. The Keegs will be back, and this is a little bit of a bonus episode. We got our boy here. So,
hey, I asked you. Now, how long? You guys 3 years now? You've been doing this show?
Yeah.
So maybe like 4 years ago,
Yeah.
I asked this guy, why don't we do a podcast about horse racing and gambling and all that stuff?
That could still happen, but
No, it's fine.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
But it's not going to happen.
No.
But
No.
I asked you, and then all of a sudden, you all of a sudden, I'm doing a podcast. It's going to be me and Keegan. And I'm like, oh.
You know what? Here's the thing. It wasn't... It wasn't going to be about horse racing. Obviously, that's
we didn't have to do about horse racing. That was just an idea I had.
Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't take that personally. The fact that that it was going to be me and Keegs. I
Me
just
and you've
think
been
that,
friends a long time. So
yeah, but for you and your schedule and the
Exactly.
kids, I didn't think it was going to be as feasible with you or anyone else for that matter than it would be with the Keegs. Not that he has nothing else going on, because obviously he does. I just felt like that at that time and this time that was the right move,
Right.
and maybe down the road we'll do that.
No.
That horse racing
This
podcast.
is-
I'm just saying that's not going to happen.
The
but-
commitment that you
Yeah.
have put into this show,
Yeah.
and everything, like, you know what, you're better off sticking to what works, and Hershey and the Keegs works.
That's my boy.
So,
well, you're my boy, and so is he.
I'm
and
not
thank you very
at
much.
all jealous. I'm proud of you guys.
Thank you so kindly. And so tell us what's been going on. I know that you have been dealing. There's been some sort of a norovirus or Tracy Morgan vomit disease in your house for like the past couple of weeks. What's been happening?
Wait, let's talk about since December 26th.
Okay, so day after
There
Christmas
has not been
almost.
a week of health in my house. Like, somebody's been sick every week since Christmas.
I'm glad I'm sitting next to him. That's great. Okay.
You know what? I'm the least one. I get sick the least. I got a pretty strong immune system, but
Yeah.
I had a sinus infection over Christmas, and then
remember.
my wife got the flu. Olivia got RSV.
Yeah.
The little one got an ear infection, and then Olivia got the flu, and then it just kept going around, swinging around to each other. Then last 2 weeks ago, as I was telling you when I walked in here, my toddler on the Sunday of the first Sunday of the month, she starts vomiting.
Right.
3 days later, I'm on my way to a show. It hits me.
Yeah.
I had to pull over 4 times, both ends, and
Wow.
then
On the highway, you're on the Beltway.
I'm on the Garden State. I stopped at like 4 rest stops on the way to my gig.
Vile. Yes.
Then get in there. Then it became just bottom half.
Yeah.
But I go to the venue. I go 3 or 4 times before I get on stage. I get
Wow.
on stage, get in my car, stop 3 or 4 times on the way home.
Wow.
Whatever. Now my wife wakes up this morning. She's got it. The 2-year-old's been 102 fever all night long. She just came from the urgent care. She's got a ear infection. So it just doesn't end. It doesn't end.
And you're well though. You're feeling well.
I feel since Friday,
Yeah.
I've 100%.
Yeah, I think you had said when we texted over the weekend that you were a little bit under
Wednesday
the
and
weather.
Thursday of last week, I was
Yeah.
down for the count, but I had shows and I still did the shows.
You still did.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be on stage? I don't think I've ever had the experience where, and especially I've only done, I don't do more than 15, 20 minutes. You're up there doing 40 minutes. If you start to feel, the growler or the itis,
Yeah.
what's that like on stage? You must have had that over the years.
Never
like
had it happen to me on stage. Went up before and after. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think the stage adrenaline keeps everything at bay while you're up there.
Right.
But I was at the Borgata maybe about 10 years ago with Joe DeVito.
Yep.
And in the middle of his set, he walked off. He was off for about 15 seconds. It was silent.
Yep.
He walks back on, drinks water, and continues his show. So after the show, I said, Joe, what happened? Where did you disappear to? He goes, I had to throw up. And he goes, I just walked off. I did it in the garbage pail, and I walked back on and finished my set.
That is unbelievable.
I've never seen anybody do that during a set.
So, really, you mentioned the word adrenaline, and the truth is this. I've only known this for the 14 years that I've been performing, and you a lot longer, but the power of adrenaline really is something like nothing else, and it can combat illness or grief or so many different emotions.
and it's all here, really. It's
Yeah.
all really here, but
Yeah.
it's true.
I've talked about this. My pop passed away on a Saturday, and I had a show only a few days later. And the day that he passed, I'm like, "There's no way I'm going to be able to get on stage." And then as we got closer, I'm like, "No, I think he would want me to do this," and I did it. And the show was here. And I'm not just saying this to make it sound like a dramatic story, but I had one of the top 5 best sets in my entire life.
Right.
Fighting through the grief and whatever else, and it was definitely that crazy weird energy that you get from being on stage.
The day my mother died, I went on stage. The day.
So that's like,
Yeah, I was on the road.
kind of made my story didn't look that good. All of a sudden,
No, your story's great.
My mother died in the audience. Monty said, and I finished the set. Right,
They're
She
in
was
Bomber
dead.
as I'm going,
Yeah,
No,
thanks.
I was on.
Nobody likes a topper. Go
I
ahead.
was up in Syracuse.
Yeah.
And my mom was in the hospice at the hospital. And my dad said, go. I said, I'm going to cancel my weekend. He said, no. This is your living. Go. Your mother wants you to go to work. Go to work. And if God forbid something happens, you come home early.
Right.
Well, going into the weekend, Jamie Lislow, who was a good friend of mine, and lived there and was off that weekend, said, hey, if you have to leave because of something tragic, because I know your situation, just let me know. I'll cover any night for you.
Yes.
So I did the Thursday night. My mother died on a Thursday. I did the Thursday, either Thursday or Friday. I forget which night. And then the next morning I left, and Jamie stepped in on Saturday. But it helps. It's like therapy.
Just can we go back for a second here? You mentioned you're friends with Jamie Lislow. Are you still friends with Jamie Lislow?
We know each other. I have not talked to him in a long time.
But you were friends at a certain
We
point.
worked a lot
I'm
together
just saying,
back in the day.
Is there a chance you can help me get Jamie Lislow as a guest now that he's a big TV guy all of a sudden?
I can reach out to him. I could definitely reach out to him for you.
Honestly, he's on the Gutfield show.
Yep.
Constantly.
Funny comic.
So here's what I'll be very frank about it with that show. I happen to, despite agreeing with a lot of the stuff, political, disagree, whatever, I'm not a big fan of that show for some of the people that are on there. I happen to think that when DeVito's on it, he's terrific.
He's very well read.
He's excellent on the show. He's funny. I think when Joe Maki is on the show, he's terrific.
I don't watch it, so
I'm just telling you. Yeah. But I think Jamie Lislow is probably the piece de resistance of that show. He's on it, and he's on it a lot, and he's terrific.
And he's very funny. I see his clips on TikTok and Instagram.
You know what? He's real. So you know what? I'll shoot you a text tomorrow if you can just say, hey, my buddies, whatever. And then,
I'll message him tonight.
And he won't respond. But no, you mentioned some other situations that you've had. You used some terminology I never heard of. You've been on the deep road with the nasty flu. So there's been other times when you've been traveling and you've had this.
I've been out in the middle of Pennsylvania, in the middle of nowhere, and I check in on Friday or Thursday. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I used to go on Thursday night when Scott Bruce had the room in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Scott Bruce would want you there Thursday night because you had to do 6 a.m. You had to do radio the next morning.
Oh, that's right. The Friday morning.
So they put you up on Thursday. So I'd go out Thursday. Back then I was single. I didn't have kids. So I'd go out, live my house at 11 o'clock in the morning, get out there.
Couple scotches,
go get dinner, sit by the pool if it was summertime. Mm-hmm. And then one time I got there and I just woke up with that nasty flu, body aches, fever. Yeah. And now I'm there. I'm like, I got to do the show. This time I was featuring, but just went to the local pharmacy, got the Theraflu or the NyQuil, Dayquil, whatever.
You just
same thing in Vegas. Happened to me in Vegas. One time I got to Vegas and I had the flu, and I was there for 7 days. The first 4 days of it, I was just in my room sleeping until showtime. 2 shows a night. Do the shows. Luckily in Vegas, the show you only did 20-minute sets on a show because the features did 20.
Okay.
And I was featuring at the time, and same thing. Do the 2 sets, right back to my room. No whiskey, nothing. Just right to bed until the end of the week, and then I felt better and I started, living it up.
When you're in a situation like that, are you feeling anxiety that like, shit, I'm going to go up on stage and I'm going to fucking be wiped out, or you just you're going to be able to plow right through?
Yeah, I know I'm going to be able to plow right through. I've always done it, so that's why even the other day when I called my wife and I said, oh man, I got this stomach bug, and she said, oh really? Oh my God, what are you going to do? I said, I'm halfway to the gig. I'm going to do the gig.
Yeah.
She's like, what do you have to go while you're on stage? I go, I'm only doing 25 minutes. It was a special lunch event.
Okay.
So I said, I'll get through it. I went, literally right up until the minute they introduced me, I was on the ball.
It's amazing. And then, but somehow
then fine. And then the adrenaline carried me through the first half of the ride home. And then all of a sudden it hit me like, okay, now we're calm again. Let's go. Get a bathroom. We got to go. And I pull into one of the rest stops off the Garden State.
And that was it. And now you're good.
And then I got home. And then I went to bed.
You're good.
Yeah.
And so hopefully things settle down at the house, obviously.
I'm gonna have to get an exorcism or something. It seems like it's
that's crazy. That's very crazy. And for those who don't know, I'm sure most of our viewers know that Monty is a parent of 2 young children, a little advanced age for that. So it's I don't want to say.
Well, do you remember your kids being this sick, like when they were little?
Yes. You know what? What's interesting. When my kids were little, we got through it where our kids, when they were little, never had the stomach stuff before. I don't know.
But even just like strep throat, RSV, all that crap.
It's horrendous.
The whooping cough.
If one of my kids is sick now, I'm a fucking neurotic lunatic. So no, I understand it. I totally understand it. And And I wonder, you're one of the things we wanted to promote tonight was that you're going to be going on this traveling road show called Married,
Make it sound like a
Single,
circus.
Married, Single, and a Baby. Is this the kind of thing where you're potentially going to incorporate in the show some of this stuff, or is it a set type of? No,
I'm always writing new stuff, and this stuff will make the set. The show "Married, Single, and a Baby," starring myself, Joe Bubblewitz, and Vanessa Hollingshead, is basically a stand-up comedy show.
Yep.
3 headliners.
Yep.
Themed. In relationship material. So Joe got married at late as well. Joe Bubblewitz got married at I think he was 57 when he got married for the first time.
Right.
Doesn't have any children of his own. Just
Right.
married. Vanessa is single and looking for love. She was married. She's a widower now.
Pui.
A widow, I guess. A widow is a man. And
No kids.
and then me, no kids, and then me. Married late, have children late, the older dad. And so it's a very funny show, 3 different perspectives of life, in relationship mode and stuff like that.
You were your first kid were born. You were 64 when your first kid was born. How old?
I was 47 when
47.
Olivia was born, and I was
I have to
50
tell you
when the other
something.
one.
And the show is done. Is it done in pantomime? Is that what you said? The show? What is it?
What, Married, Single, and a Baby?
Yeah. What is
That's
it?
the stand-up comedy show.
Oh, it's a regular show. Okay, Well, we haven't heard a lot about it.
Yeah,
we were wondering.
we do at the end. We do a tribute to Marcel.
We didn't know if it was done. We weren't sure what it was. I do find it very interesting, though, that there's a very interesting dynamic in your family. So it's you and your wife, who she's a little bit younger than you, but definitely on the other side of 40 at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Have 2 babies, and then her sister and Chris, Jen and Chris, they have now. Is it 1
2.
baby? 2, or the newborn just happened.
The newborn is 4 months old.
Right. So I think it's really was meant to be that both Kristen and Jen had kids a little bit later, because all those kids are growing up together now.
Right.
So there's a Olivia is what, 5 now?
Olivia will be 6 in June,
Yeah.
and Alessandra, my niece, Jennifer's firstborn, will be 3 in April.
So the 6, 3,
And then my daughter will be 3 in October.
It's
my second
phenomenal.
one.
Yeah.
And then the little guy is, he's 3 years behind.
So it's nice though. So these kids, they'll
be
all
close.
inherit houses at 14 or 15. And they'll be able to, and the houses are close in geographic distance. You're not
You can
far.
walk to my sister-in-law's house.
I'm just
yeah.
saying, you guys are all very close.
So
So
they bought a house in our neighborhood, so where we live. So
I think that's nice, and it's just a cool.
And my
dynamic.
brother's kids are 13, and my nephew Luca is going to be 12 in April. So
Right.
and they're the cool older cousins. So
It's a cool dynamic. It's a cool group of people, and I'm definitely a fan of all of them. I'm curious. This is something I've been putting some thought into as my kids are getting older. Do you get excitement or pride if you see that? Well, it's really Olivia more than anything. If she shows a propensity to be funny at all, do you take an extra level of pride in that? I know that when I see my kids be funny, it's the most incredible thing for me. Tell me if that's.
I agree. Yes. Olivia is very funny, and she'll say funny things. Even my 2-year-old now is starting to be very. I think she might be the comedian.
So,
but
tell me
yeah,
what-
it makes
tell
me it makes me proud. It does
It
make
does,
me proud.
right?
Yeah,
It
absolutely,
does.
absolutely. How could it not? It's like because she's always. We always ask her what she wants to be, and she says my wife's a teacher, so she's like, "I'm going to be a teacher."
Like
And-
Mama, yeah.
yeah, like mom. And then now I'm like, "Oh, Olivia," but she loves to put on a show when people are there.
So-
she loves to dance and sing, and she's a little
Yeah.
ham,
Right.
So, and that's how I was as a kid. So I'm like, "Oh, she's going to be in show business."
It's funny. Like before I had kids, if I had a son, I wanted him to become a baseball player, and Anna's a dancer, and Samantha's a singer, and Max is a basketball player now. But as I've gotten older, I just get incredible joy when they make me laugh, because you hear talk about my pop all the time on the show, and I don't think either one of you might have met my dad years ago, but you didn't really know him.
Right.
Some people who listen to the show know my dad very well, but you think I'm funny. Tony thinks my father was a trillion times funnier than me. He was
Right.
literally the
I could
funniest
totally see
guy.
that.
He was funny, he was just raw funny. And so for me, certainly I feel like I've got some of his genes and his wit and his charm and whatever. But when I see now, like when Max does something, and Max is more of like a dry type of humor, but when he does something funny, it not only makes me laugh, but it definitely gives me a little cavell inside. You know?
Yeah. I know. I totally get that.
I went, Max and I, the other day, we go to Stu Leonard's. So that's a thing for us. We like to go to Stu Leonard's. Him and I like to wipe out the free
Isn't that
samples.
the guy that calls the fan? No, that's Stu Feynman.
That's Stu, different guy. Stu Leonard's is the place that has like fresh fruit and.
No, I know Stu Leonard's. Yeah, you got good root beer.
Good root beer, and we'll go and we'll try to wipe out the free samples of the orange juice and the tangerine juice, and we like their grapes there. We go there on Sunday morning, and we're there around 8:50, 8:55 in the morning. And as we're walking out, there's an Asian family that is dad and mom are in there, probably late 30s, and there's like a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. And they're just lapping up ice cream. You know what I mean? And I said to Max as we're walking out, it's 8:50 in the morning, but they always have the ice cream machine. If you get 100 points on your app, you can get a free ice cream cone at Stu Leonard. That's the thing. But these people were just lapping it up like it was the middle of the day,
Right.
So I said to Max, I'm like, isn't that a little, peculiar that they're eating ice cream at fucking 8:50 in the morning, this Asian family? And he just deadpans and looks at me. He goes, it's 5 o'clock in China. And I was like, motherfucker.
That is funny.
That's good shit.
That is really good shit.
Like, that was good.
That's worth the stage.
And
in your
again,
act.
Just total deadpan, which reminds me, I was looking for pictures to post of me and you today, and I found a picture of you and Keegan in the back of outside the club by the dumpster with Max on his bicycle, because it was before he was allowed to drive his bike across the turnpike. So this must have been like 2 or 3 years ago, and we were on an afternoon show together, of all things. So we were on a Sunday afternoon show.
Oh, here.
Yeah. And they happen to anyone's been on the show here, they pipe the audio outside of the club, and so I get off stage, and someone comes into the green room and they're like, there's a kid who's saying he's your son with a helmet on a bicycle outside. He just listened to your whole set. And I'm like, what the fuck? I go outside and it's Max in the lobby. He's like, I heard you did a joke about me. And then I got you and Keegan, and you
to
took
take a
picture with him.
That's funny.
And,
even my little one now, I see she's got the wit already. Like the other day, my sister was over, and my sister goes, we got to teach Emily her colors. She doesn't know her colors. And she's going to, she's 2.5. She should know her colors. I said, all right. Emily, I said, what color is this balloon? I had an orange balloon. So she looks at it. And she looks at me, and I go, orange. And she goes, orange. What color is this balloon? I had blue. She goes, blue. I go, blue. She says, blue. I had the Knicks hat on, my blue one. My blue and orange.
Like that blue
okay,
hat,
what color is this brim right here? It was orange. She remembered. Orange. Yeah. What color is the main hat? Blue. All right. I go, what color is your shirt? And she was wearing a purple shirt.
Yeah.
And she didn't know. So she's staring at it, and she looks at me, and I go, purple. And she goes, purple. And she had pink socks. I go, and what color are your socks? And she looks down, and she looks up, and she goes, not purple.
Not purple.
And I go, already, she's so witty and funny.
That's good. That's good.
But Olivia really is she's funny without knowing she's funny.
I just think that they become a little bit of who your parents are. I mean, I think I'm a mix of my mom and dad, and certainly you probably feel the same way about you. Speaking about blue and orange, I know what color are they? Red and white. St. John's Redmond. What are you? What is your involvement with this? Are you feeling like a closeness to St. John's and this incredible, insane, wacky run that's happening?
It's great. And a lot of my cousins went to St. John's, so I was always
as
a matter of fact, years ago when there was a guy called in the fan the other day, he was talking about St. John's back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And he said he used to hang out at the Sly Fox right across the street.
I
used to hang out at Sly Fox because a friend of mine, back then I worked a day job, and a friend of mine who worked a day job, I worked for American Airlines. We used to clean planes 4 hours a day.
Oh, that's a good gig.
Yeah, because you got benefits, you got money, and you got free flights. That's why I did it. I was in my 20s. I was flying all over the place. I was going to Dominican Republic. Melvick. I was going here.
Right.
So this guy used to bounce there, and he used to tell us, "Come down on Thursday and Friday nights. I'm at the door. I'll let you guys in. Going to pay the cover." And we used to go down there on Thursday and Friday nights and hang out at the Sly Fox. But I mean, I was about, you're what, a year older than me?
Yeah.
So I was about what, 12 or 13 in '85 when they made that run with Mullen, right? And you were probably about 14.
Yeah, I was 14 years old.
Yeah, so
Yep.
that's from that time on, we became St. John's fans, and I followed them in and out over the last. I'm not going to lie and say
I
I'm
think
a.
that all of us have, but this thing has taken over.
I mean, in 2
the
years,
city.
Patino turned this whole team around.
So we had on the guy, the New York Post sports writer, a couple of weeks ago. This guy Zach Braziller, who was phenomenal, and him and I have been texting back and forth. And he's like, "Dude, I've been doing this for a long time," and he goes, "I've just never seen anything like this. It's outrageous
for a team that can't hit free throws and can't hit 3-pointers,
and they're just not an offensive team. Simple as that. But what happens, it seems like every single game, is that they're like tied with like 8-9 minutes left, and then all of a sudden the defense takes over, and then that's it.
And
It's
I
over.
heard it's because Patino has them so conditioned that by the time they get to the last like 9 minutes of the game, the other team is starting to get winded, and their legs are fresh. And
crazy.
they just take over, and I'm excited for the tournament.
I think people need to know, especially with two horse racing lovers here, that St. John's is where they are right now because of one of the most successful horse racing owners right now, Mike Rapoli, who is an extremely proud St. John's grad, has donated millions, literally millions of dollars to the school, and now with this new NIL thing over the past couple of years, is definitely responsible for the fact that they've gotten players like Kadari Richmond and other superstars that they've gotten.
Right.
So praise horse racing for that.
And they're 2-seeded, right?
They're 2 seed,
Yeah.
so they're playing against a team called Omaha on Thursday. Omaha is a mid-major who.
You know what time the game is?
I don't know if they even put the time up yet.
I had a show that got moved, so I'm off Thursday day and Thursday night.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, cool. I got St. John's at some point during the day, and then I got, if I'm still willing to watch the Islanders at night.
So, well, listen, after the win the other night, the Islanders are within 3 or 4 points
but
of the playoff game.
they're losing now.
All right, let's not talk about that. So St. John's, they're playing Omaha. They're about 18-point favorites. They should have no problem with them. But Omaha's one of these scrappy mid-major teams who hasn't lost in the calendar year of 2025. So, that's
It's like that. It's like that horse that gets to the Derby 6-0, and you go, "Oh, he hasn't lost," and then all of a sudden, like
hopefully.
your horse that you like the other, Max. What was the horse?
Let's not talk
Security.
about that.
Yeah, I know you called
Maximum Security,
Francesco and got into a fight with him about that.
I did. I definitely did.
He definitely deserved to be taken down, but we'll save that for another.
Speaking of horse racing, and it's not a common thing. There's not. I think one of the reasons why you and I became buddies so many years ago wasn't just our connection of comedy, but also that we're part of the rare breed
who loves horse racing.
It's true. There's not a lot of us. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's not a lot of us, and ultimately, when there is one, when you find someone in your life that loves horse racing as much as you do, and you have an ability to speak to someone about it, it's really a cool thing, and it's why we've, certainly from May until August, we're constantly texting about Belmont Stakes or Saratoga, Breeders' Cup, or
a
whatever.
friend that's got a horse that you've been
or
following.
Stabile, or all this
I'm
shit.
taking a shot on this horse. I'm taking a
shot.
flyer, as you say.
How much is in your account? What's, all this shit.
Oh, I got guys I got a certain group of guys that I only talk horse racing with, and they'll text me, "Hey, can you spot me, $50 from your account? Because I don't have the account and I'm not home. I'm on the road." He's a musician. It's my one friend from Ireland.
Yes.
He gave us the Irish tip that we hit a couple years ago.
Right. That's
and
right.
he called me, "Hey, can you spot me 50 and put 10 across for this?" And I'll always do it. And he'll always send me the money. But there's certain guys that you just have that bond with. I can not talk to guys for a year, but then all of a sudden, like Brian Kennedy, we
that's
start
a
talking
perfect
as soon as the
example.
horse racer comes
Brian
around.
Kennedy, who's the old manager of the Brokerage Comedy Club, he's a great guy. He came out and hung out with me and Monty on the opening night of Jets game at Monty's Barbecue. In the
You guys
backyard.
also came during the pandemic for cigar night in my
Cigar
backyard.
night, yeah. So, but he's a guy that especially now that his son is on the verge of becoming a professional tennis player and all this crazy shit, that he's not around that much.
Right.
But certainly, we will get a text, 2 weeks before the Derby, and it won't even be like, "Hey, what's up?" It will just be like, "What do you guys like?"
Who you like? I'm going with this horse.
Yeah. So, not to take the show to a downward trend, but speaking of which, horse racing. I don't even know if I mentioned this to either one of you guys, but it was about a week and a half ago. I got word that Max's best friend Michael, his father Tom McCarthy, suddenly passed away. In our age range, 55. What are you, Tony? 54.
Yeah, I'll be 55. Sure.
Yeah. So Tom was 55, and he was.
What was it? What did he pass from?
We're not really exactly sure what had happened, to tell you the truth, and
but he wasn't sick.
No, I don't. Not that I'm aware of. But we got word that he had passed, and Tom was he loved Saratoga. You know how I love Saratoga. You love Saratoga.
I want to go to summer with my kids.
Yeah, we'll all get back there together, and I'm taking Tony and Don Still and Keegan this summer. So
It's a great time.
So he would text me every summer. He would go with his wife Christine and his daughter Shannon and his son Michael, that were up in Saratoga. We're going out to dinner at here and so forth. And,
Salt and Shaw.
Maybe like 2 or 3 summers ago, when Stabile was still working up at Naira, at the time he was doing Talking Horses, I texted Stabile because I had just been up there and I came home, and then Tom came up, and I'm like, listen, if I set it up where my buddy Tom comes and meets you, will you say hello to him? He's like, Stabile is, of course. And Tom then sent me the picture later that day of him and Stabile, and it was like he won lotto. Like, he was so happy because, again, it's hard to understand that, Anthony Stabile may not be everyone in the world might know who he is, but in the world of horse racing, everybody knows who he is.
Everybody knows who he is. That's like you and me when we ran into Nick Santagata. We're like, oh my God, it's Nick Santagata. When we were kids, it was one of the greatest jockeys that we ever bet on. So I had to say hello to him.
So when Tom met Stabile, he was overjoyed, tickled pink, and when I posted the passing of Tom the other day, that's the picture that I actually used, was him and Stabile. And I just want to, it's important to me to mention, because there's a lot of Levittown people who knew Tom, and this was a little bit of a different ilk, this guy, when it comes to just being a good human being. We tend to have revisionist history when people pass away, and you say things about people, but this is not the case with this guy. This was the guy who always came up to you with a handshake, always came up to you with a smile, always respectful. And the thing that caught me the most about him, there were 2 things. Number one, he would speak about with Shannon and Michael with such reverence, that, and not in a obnoxious way at all, in a way that you were like, oh man, that's awesome. Like, you were loving how he would speak about these kids. And Shannon's an Irish step dancer and a fantastic one, and Michael's a lacrosse player, and so on and so forth. But beyond that, the thing that always struck me about Tom, and you know how I'm a people watcher, and I kind of look into these things, is that when he would ask you about your kids, he did it with such sincerity in a genuine way that really isn't that common. Like, the truth is, most people are like, how's Jimmy?
How's Max?
Whatever.
Oh yeah, you really know, yeah.
And I know when you ask, well, we're close, so it's a little.
No,
different,
I know, but anybody,
Tom would know your kid's name. He would know what they were up to, and just maybe 2 weeks before he had passed, he had sent me a message while I was up in Binghamton, and he's like, how's Max doing? He's the next LeBron. Tell him Mr. McCarthy said hello. And I didn't get a chance to talk to him that weekend, and I said, I'll get back to you on Monday, and I did, and I never heard back from him, and he was gone the following week.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So just,
may he rest in peace.
I made a couple of posts about this, and I don't think that you can overtalk this subject when you lose a person like this, father, husband, but friend. This was a good man who his wake was an overwhelming scene of people that were very, very sad to lose this person. So rest in peace, Tom. Say a prayer for Shannon, for Michael, for Christine, and literally all the people that loved him, because he was a good person.
Well said, man.
Yeah. So we'll take. I want to touch on the Gene Hackman thing because there's some new revelation about
good,
that. But
I'm worried about that.
But let's take a little bit of a nice turn for a second. Did you guys happen to see? I mean, again, I've been following this for months. That these two astronauts, the man and the woman, were supposed to come back after like an 8-day voyage back in like October. You been following it at all?
I did not follow it.
Okay, I know nothing about it.
You know why? I just try to avoid, in the toxic world of news and everything that goes on. I just, you know what? I just leave those channels off.
This is not a bad story, right, Tony? This was two astronauts went on some sort of space mission, and they were supposed to come back after, I believe, 8 days.
Yes, 8 days.
And something happened where they got stuck there, and NASA. And I'm saying this like I know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I'm assuming it was NASA made a decision that they were going to need to stay there for safety reasons, and they were going to have to stay there for several months.
Something was leaking. There was some kind of
something
in their ship.
Yeah,
it's something in the ship was leaking.
Yeah.
So now it's like a Gilligan's Island on Mars or something.
So, but you know what's the whole thing is crazy to me because first you heard
do they have enough food for 8 months or a month?
They're eating like ice pellets or these dried shit.
But I guess they have enough for a year or something,
but
right?
So.
The dynamic to me is just incredible because they were essentially supposed to be home like say before Halloween, and then it was like, oh, they'll be home by the new year, and then it was January, February. Literally, as I was leaving here, I was watching on TV that they were dropping them into the water from a parachute from...
Oh, so they're back.
Oh, was it a parachute? I don't know if that's the right terminology.
Well, they were on... Last I heard, they were on their way back, yes.
They were on their way back. But it's just a... It's just a man and a woman, not like husband and wife. Like,
right.
What?
But now they are probably.
Every time.
But she's going to be pregnant.
Every time that they would show the video of them, they looked like they were happy as fuck.
Yeah.
Like they looked like they were having the time of their lives.
Yes.
Meanwhile, their kids are home crying.
Right.
The father, the
of course,
wife,
he's getting late and he's not on this planet, so it doesn't count, right? Hey, babe, that didn't happen on Earth.
I'm just trying to think, like, obviously, they would say, all right, guys, stop fucking. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put the cameras on you. Like, what were they doing? And I'm asking this partially.
Oh, they're gonna be probably
also,
interviewed on TV shows.
I'm serious. Like, what was going on up there, Tony?
Well, I found interesting. I was looking. I think it was this morning. They were showing pictures. Like, some people flew up there.
Oh,
like to relieve them, and now they're coming back, and so they were taking these pictures. But it looks like it's not. I was picturing like a little spaceship, and they had to wear their spacesuits the whole time, but that's not the case.
They were just floating around, right?
But they're not even floating around. Like they were in a room. It looked like it could have been in here. It looked like it could have been next door. Like,
oh, really?
Guys were in like regular outfits, and they were taking pictures of it. Like they had cameras, they're all taking pictures of each other.
Phenomenal.
It's like a luxury, like flying first class.
They call it a space station, so I guess it's like probably pretty sizable.
So they were at Woodside, basically.
So this is like a common thing now. People just going into space, in and out of space. Like
I'm just trying to think though. Like, what do you think? And maybe they will talk about this, or maybe they won't. And maybe it will be like when Tom Hanks came back after being shipwrecked for all those years, and they asked him.
Well, let me tell you something.
Oh, okay.
Because I actually I have this in my notes for my show.
Oh, good.
This is not the longest people have been stuck there.
Oh, I didn't know this at all.
They were up there for 286 days.
Wow. That's...
The record is 371 days.
Bocce balls.
and that was just 3 years ago.
Wow.
And this guy was by himself.
Oh, my God in heaven. He must have just pulled that fucking thing right off.
Lucky guy.
You come home with calluses and fucking...
Are you allowed to bring, like, a couple of bottles of booze with you?
But I just wonder, like, listen, we'll never... Here's the truth. We will never know exactly what was going on up there. We'll never know it.
Right.
Because once they're like, all right, we're gonna just turn the camera off. Was it a matter of like, the guy would say to her like, what do you want to do tonight? And she'd be like, you want to fuck? and then he'd be like, It's been 47 days straight. She's like, what else are we going to do? He's like, all right, let's fuck. Like, what?
What is there to do?
What are they doing? Are they playing fucking Monopoly? Like, what's happening?
Hey, are they able to? They can't get cell service, right?
Oh, they're like 600 miles away. They were like in another world.
600 miles. They're like more. It's like
600. How many
light years? 600 light years.
600 years away.
Oh, that's crazy. Man.
Listen, I'm not a very intelligent person. I know that they were very
That's a
far
great
away.
idea for a sitcom, though. You're getting stuck at that space station.
Like you said, it was Gilligan. It just wasn't space.
Yeah.
Well, Lost in Space.
Yeah, Lost in Space, but they were lost on other planets. And
But you know, the book is coming. The interviews,
the divorce.
Oh yeah,
divorces.
Right.
Both of them.
The twins that are coming.
That is crazy.
Yeah, totally outrageous. So that's a story that I've been, I get a little fixated on things. So I've been fixated on that. The Gene Hackman story I've been fixated on for a couple of reasons. Let's just remember, like, this whole story puts a really strange mark on Gene Hackman's life. This was one of the best actors, maybe the best actor we've ever seen. If you look at
definitely.
I mean, for me, like,
I love Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman for me is above De Niro and he's above Pacino. You want to put him against, like, who are considered the best actors? A Tom Hanks or a Humphrey Bogart or whatever.
Jimmy Stewart,
but
Olivier.
Hackman,
some of the
Jack
big
Lemmon.
Jack Lemmon,
terrific.
Walter Matthau.
Yeah. But so he's one of the best. And the bottom line is, now if I say to you, Gene Hackman, you're thinking of a 96-year-old man staggering around an apartment with his wife dead on the floor, not knowing what the fuck is going on because she had died.
She was dead first?
She died 2 weeks before he was just rolling around the apartment. She died.
Well, he could have had, like, dementia, right?
Well, no, he did have dementia. Yeah. He did, but, I'm sure every once in a while, like, she'd get in his way or something. He'd be on the floor.
It'll smell after 2 weeks. And she was like a world-renowned pianist, right? Like a concert pianist.
Yes. Oh, pianist.
Pianist.
Okay.
And she was like only in her 60s, and she was still performing.
Yes.
She was a very young woman. She was 65, but something very peculiar came out today or yesterday is that they were able to determine that she passed away on, I think the date was February 11th. What they found today or yesterday was that she made a phone call the day before to the hospital to basically say, like,
I don't feel good.
I'm not doing well.
Right.
And then, she was probably like, I got bit by a rat, because she had the hantavirus, the whole thing.
She did?
She had hantavirus, which is passed from rats. So they're like, bullshit, you didn't have no fucking hantavirus. You're fucking living in an $80 million mansion with Gene Hackman.
What probably happened with him is he probably starved to death and the dog starved to death.
So
because at that point, he doesn't know if he's eating because he's got dementia.
Yeah, I mean, I think that at one point there was a dog that had a surgical procedure and the dog might have been crated. Another one of the dogs was found like roaming the area and was okay.
Right.
But just the fact that it's just so peculiar, and it's just incredible to me that it doesn't matter how much money or fame, Gene Hackman was worth $80 million, they said. The mansion was worth a whole ton of money. Nobody is calling these fucking people for weeks. No one's calling a check.
They don't have, he's got dementia. She don't have help. She don't have a nurse that comes every day to help out.
So she's taking care of him. There's no nurse. No one's checking in. He doesn't talk to his kids. He wrote them out of his will. Like, what? This is
that right there, the
people
kids ain't
who talk
checking.
about, like, I just want all the money. I just want all the. It's all bullshit.
In the end, it doesn't matter.
It's all bullshit. It's all nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It was a crazy story.
Totally fucking crazy.
Two crazy stories back to back.
Two crazy stories. Another crazy story. I get a call. Today's what, Tuesday?
Today is Tuesday. Yes.
I get a call. It was a week ago yesterday. Barbie doll, my mother, calls me, which is not uncommon, but I would say 99 out of 100 times it's something that is not great. Mark, I ran out of cookies. There's a cockroach. What is it?
There's a rat. Get over here.
she finds a cricket, whatever.
Crickets are good luck.
And once in a blue, then my mother has all the fucking good luck because she has got a cricket in her house every goddamn day. But she once in a while she bends over with her walker to get a fork on the floor floor and she falls on the ground. I have to come, and I usually will go there and scoop her up into a chair and lift her, and it's a process.
Now, she don't have somebody that comes in and helps
She does, but it's not 24 care.
Okay.
She doesn't need 24 care, but she said, I fell, come over. And I get over there within 5 minutes, and I look at her leg, and I'm like, no, this is not going to work.
Right.
And I knew that it was,
and that was last week?
This was last Monday, and I knew that it was something amiss, and they took her in for X-rays, and she fractured her tibia, Barbie doll. So the next day she went in for surgery. She had a rod put into her leg, and long story short, she's in rehab now and doing good, and everything.
How old's
is
Mom
fine.
now?
81, but she's with it. And everything like that. But my point of bringing this up is that I feel that the hospital industry, is, for lack of a better term, when it comes especially to men, they need to do a better job about robe coverage, because I spent a lot of time, like those couple of days my mother was in the hospital, walking through the hallways, and let's just say,
a lot of low-hanging fruit.
Let's just say for women who aren't familiar with this, and for men who aren't of the age yet, which thank God we're not, but when men reach an older age, all of a sudden their lower region looks like 2 billiards balls and a sweat sock. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? It's like something's got to be like, wrap it up, tie it up, do something like that.
Put pajama pants on these guys.
It's just really like,
right?
Let these guys.
They don't care.
But let these people have some dignity. They do a good job with the women, but I saw more swinging shafts in this fucking goddamn place, and I'm like, this is
You're with Keegan every Tuesday. You see plenty of that.
I do see plenty of that. I wonder how the boy's doing. I don't even know where he is. I know he has a gig, but I'm not sure where he is. Oh, let's take a quick break before we finish up the show, and let's do the last run of sponsors. That's important. Thank you for reminding me. Hershey and the Keegs Show. Hershey and the Keegs Show is brought to you by Eric Haft, Sunray Services. Now is the time to convert for hybrid heating and cooling. Call them today at 631-231-5533 or visit them online at www.sunrayservices.com. We are brought to you by Triple M Professional Painting and Construction. 516-395-6390. Family owned and operated for over 35 years. Call for your free estimate today and ask for James. We are brought to you by Angela's Bra Boutique at 223 Main Street in Farmingdale. 516-249-6509. Personalized bra fittings, providing a wide selection of brand sizes and styles. 10% off if you mention Hershey and the Keegs. And our close family friend Amy Hoffman just popped into Angela's Bra Boutique and purchased some stuff over the weekend. Was very, very happy about that. We are also brought to you by Demolition Specialists, 1-855-RIP-OUTS. The number you call for demolition, dumpsters, and fence rental. Family owned and operated for over 30 years. They are a fully licensed demolition contractor. And of course, last but not least, the beautiful New York State licensed real estate person, Diane Keegan.
Oh, I love her.
She's the best. From All Island Estates Realty Corporation, you can call Diane directly at 516-458-1864 or email her at diane@allislandestates.com. If you're looking to rent, sell, buy, make Diane your first call. And those are all of our Hershey and the Keegs sponsors. And we certainly, as we say every week, feel free to utilize them with confidence and mention our name. They are all wonderful, wonderful people.
And on a good note, let's go Islanders. They came back and won 4-2.
Shut up. And that's what happened the other day. They were down.
And the Rangers were losing when I came here, so we're right on the tails.
It's not out of the realm of possibility.
It's not over.
It's not out of the realm of possibility whatsoever. So we had talked about
Hershey in the months.
Have you seen? Oh, that looks good, man. Well, who did that work for you? The animation
a friend of Joe Bubowitz. I forget who, but that post is pretty nice. Yeah,
Hershey in the months. I like that. I think as we get into baseball season, which I don't know how many people realize this, but
next week
opening day was today.
Yeah, and it was at 6:05 in the morning.
I didn't even know that.
I didn't know it either until I listened to I was listening to a little bit of sports radio today, but it's ridiculous. They did it in Japan. The game's at 6 a.m. It was the Cubs and the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And leave it to baseball to have the worst marketing and the worst planning for like big things. And you know what I'm saying? Like football is the best run organization.
You don't
in
miss a
sports.
thing.
They don't miss nothing. You get into baseball, and that's their big thing. Let's
Yeah.
put a game on at 6:00 in the morning in the United States,
Yeah.
and 3 in the morning in California.
Crazy.
Right?
Totally
Just
crazy.
to have it in Japan. Why don't they play it at 6 in the morning in Japan so it's prime time here?
That's right.
Right?
So something I wanted to talk about as we start the baseball season. I know Tony knows a little bit about it. I don't know if I was sharing it with you, but just to kind of reiterate, as a lot of our listeners know, that Hirschman family friend Nicky Roselli was drafted by the Mets in the 11th round last year, and he started out in Port St. Lucie, low A ball, and long story short, spring training just started obviously a couple of weeks ago, but Nicky has been getting some ABs in the major league games.
Yep, you sent us that clip the other day.
He's been up there. He's been on the bench with Soto and Alonso, and he ripped a double yesterday. Like, he's stroking it. You know what I mean? I just think that it watching. Listen, I'm very invested because this is a close family friend. Samantha went to school with Nicky from the time they were.
What position?
He's a second baseman, lefty hitting second baseman with the Swedish.
And McNeil got hurt, right? So
you're right.
There's an opportunity.
There's maybe. Samantha and Nicky went to school from the time they were in preschool, elementary, middle, high school, and even Binghamton. They were together, and this is just a family friends of ours for many years. And I'm not only am I enjoying watching the trajectory of what's happening in Nicky's career, but I'm watching his dad Jerry, who's a good buddy of mine and a wonderful guy. He is literally getting to live out a dream that I'm sure many dads have, which is to watch their kid play professional
with the
ball.
pros. Yeah,
and he's posting these videos, and you hear in his voice him screaming with the type of passion that you could really never properly describe to anyone unless you actually lived it.
Right, like to you, I would say, like you screaming for the 6-horse coming down the stretch.
Similar
when you got your lungs on it.
but then some.
But then some. Right.
So it just kind of touched me this week watching that, and on the Mets on their Twitter page with 1.3 million followers tweeted out, Nicky Roselli just had a double against the, like he did that yesterday.
And he's a Paisan, so you got to love that.
Paisan, good Italian family. Laura and is the mom, and Daniela is the sister, all great people. It makes me remember what I think something about every season when baseball starts is that football's great, hockey, basketball, but really when it comes down to it, baseball for so many of us was what kind of started our love of sports, and it started our relationship with our dads in a lot of cases. My first baseball team for T-ball, the Gibson Bombers, my dad was the manager. Chris and Tommy Bruno's dad, Ray, was the coach with my dad, and so we formed a love of baseball together. To this day, your dad is 80. How old?
He just turned 83 last week.
Your dad's 83. Die-hard Met fan.
I'll tell you what, he's also die-hard Islander. Like, he just texted me that they won because my dad doesn't miss a game. He watches every game. He's retired. But for me, I agree with you 100%. It kind of started with the Islanders because when I was 7, 8, 9, they started winning the cups.
Right.
My aunt had season tickets. My dad would take us to the games.
Right.
So it started with hockey. And the Mets, let's be honest, they stunk from the late 70s until 80, 84, 85.
Great.
But from 85 on,
yeah.
Like, I remember 85 and 86. I was 13 and 14 years old.
Yes.
I did not miss a pitch.
Right.
I watched every Met game, 162 games plus the playoffs.
And your dad.
With my dad, with my mom. My mom's a huge fan. My mom, there he is. He just showed him on the screen.
Who?
Roselli, right? Was that him?
Oh, I didn't even look. I'm
So,
sorry.
is he related at all to Jimmy Roselli, the singer? They related to him in that family?
I think you've asked that already.
Yeah, because there's a famous singer. He's dead now, but I mean, in the 50s and 60s, he was big.
I don't know if the answer to that, but it could have done without the hockey story. That was
I'm just for the love of sports with my dad and my mom. And my mom, like put it this way, during the summer we never had air conditioning when I was a kid, teenager.
Me neither.
And the windows would be open and the fans would be on in July.
Yeah.
My father worked nights.
Yeah.
And my mother would be in the living room, and I'd be out on the front porch with my friends, right, eating like Mr. Softy.
Yep.
And you hear my mother inside, "You son of a bitch!"
Right.
Right. And my friends would go, "Is your mom fighting with your dad?" I go, "No, she's watching the Mets. She's watching the Mets." My mother, and she was watching the Mets. He's
Yeah.
drinking a can of beer and she's screaming at them on the TV.
Little Lucy.
Yeah, she loved the Mets. She didn't miss it. And then she
So-
would get too nervous when it was important.
So it's a perfect example. The baseball was part of us. One of a conversation I had with my very close buddy John Olivio the other day, who is literally, as I've said before, not only the biggest Met fan that ever lived, but I think he is singularly the biggest fan of any sport that I've ever seen anyone. He lives and dies by the Mets. And anyway, he said something the other day that made me a little emotional. His dad passed away, within the past about a year ago, and he misses the conversations that he would have with Dad. Even when his dad was in his 90s, he was still talking Mets with his dad. And I don't know. I just think the Nicky Roselli, Jerry Roselli thing brought it up to me that baseball, no matter what they say about changing the game and the ghost run and all this shit, baseball's still the fucking
DH.
best. Yeah,
no,
still the best.
There's things that bother me, and I don't want I'm getting sick to my stomach. But you want the robot ump?
No.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah,
but I don't even look at it like now, like with the DH and all that. I go, there's no American League, National League anymore.
Right.
That was the difference. The difference was the National League had their rules, the American League had their rules.
Yeah.
Now that everything's the same and every team has to play every team. I love the World Series when the two teams never faced each other.
I do too.
But it's the way it is now. And now you got 110 playoff games before you get to the World Series.
But despite all of it, baseball's still awesome.
It's still great. Listen, last
awesome.
year when the Mets had to win that doubleheader in Atlanta, when they had to win that first game to really clinch it, I was watching that with my dad.
Yes.
He was over my house.
Amen.
I said, Dad, I said, come over. I got to pick up Olivia from the bus. We walked to the bus. On the way to the bus, I had the game on my phone, right? I'm watching the game on my phone. We waited for the bus. We got back. Atlanta had come back and took the lead.
Of course,
we got back to my house. My father,
phenomenal.
And we sat and watched it together. And then he came over during the playoffs too. So.
So
There's nothing like it.
Nothing like it. So everyone keep on rooting for Nicky Roselli.
Let's go, Nicky. I want you to make the
Roselli.
team because I can't stand McNeil.
Me
neither.
Say
Done
a
with
prayer
him.
for Tommy McCarthy. He was a Met fan, and Angelo Olivio was a big Met fan. And let's go baseball, man. Let's go Yankees. Let's go Mets. It's starting next week.
Oh my God! And you know what? Why do the Yankees always never start on the road?
It's ridiculous.
Because it's going to be 44 degrees.
44.
And you know, with the
44.
wind chill, it'll be 34.
35 below.
Yeah. And I went
Yeah.
once. I went once to an opening day in
Yeah.
the first week in April when the Mets opened, when they had who's the guy they got from Atlanta? The pitcher from Atlanta.
Julio Teheran.
No. One of the big.
Oh, Tom Glavine.
When they got Tom Glavine
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
pitched opening day and the Mets lost like 17-0.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
We were freezing on. We were tailgating before the game, and my brother looks at me and goes, I feel like we're at a Jet game right now, not a
game.
Met game, because it's so
Cute.
cold out, you know?
Terrible. Thank
Ridiculous.
God the Wirecast is still up there. As we're going to the end here, I did realize that I forgot something that you had texted me that you
don't have to bring
wanted.
up everything.
No, but this was cute though. We were talking about Olivia before. Tell us on a lighter note, since we've covered some emotional topics tonight. On a lighter note, tell us about Olivia and the leprechaun trap that she had.
Oh,
planned
so we
this
just had
weekend.
St. Patrick's Day, as you know, on Monday.
Sure.
And so I guess last year when she was in pre-K, the teacher made this leprechaun trap, and we're going to catch a leprechaun and blah, blah, blah. So Olivia, I got a big Amazon box in my kitchen, and it's going out for recycle.
Yeah.
And Olivia said, Daddy, can I have that box? I said, what do you want to do with it? She goes, I want you to help me build a leprechaun trap. And I go, what's a leprechaun? Like, I never did it as a kid. I never even heard of it. We never did it.
You're 72 years old. I don't even know what that is. You don't even know.
So I go, what is it? So she makes a little hole, and I get a green paint, and she's painting it, and she's putting stickers on it and everything.
Yeah.
So anyway, the night before, on Sunday the 16th, we put it out in the family room. We said, put it here, and we'll put some shamrocks on it, and the leprechaun will go through. And so she didn't catch a leprechaun, but he left a couple of gold coins for her.
Oh, wow.
And some green M&Ms.
So freaking cute.
Yeah, and she was like so happy on St. Patrick's Day morning. But she's adorable. I'm like, I never heard of it. I said, next year, my father said, next year I'll build you one. He goes, I'll build you a box with a trap door that opens and snaps closed. Like, so my dad's going to build one now. You know?
And then you'll have to go out and spend a couple of bucks and hire a little person to go in and get stuck in
I
there.
got you.
Yeah, I can do it. I'll do that. I'll get the little box.
Yeah, I'll put a
You
little
give me a
green
couple
hat
of
on
gold
you.
coins and I'll do anything.
Give her a little shot of Jameson and you'll be all right.
Exactly. Meanwhile, is Jennifer watching? Is Kristen watching? Is Chris watching? Are they watching tonight?
No. So my wife had the stomach flu today,
Yes,
and
sir.
my little one's got whatever. So I guarantee, and no, because we tried to watch once, and you said the F word a couple times, and my wife's like, "Oh, inappropriate! Shut this off! Shut this off!"
So I'll send you the link in the morning, and you can share.
That's fine.
And they can.
I'll show Olivia on my phone. I'll show her a couple clips. But you know what? They're probably on the couch right now in the family room,
cuddled up, watching.
They're getting ready. At 10 o'clock, Olivia will go to me, "Daddy, it's time for the Golden Girls," because that's what I watch.
I love that.
And she loves, and she sings the song. Olivia sings the song, and I go, "Okay, one episode, you gotta go to bed because it's 10 o'clock and you're 5. You need to go. You have to go to school in the morning."
Right.
So hopefully she'll be asleep when I get home.
Well, that would be beautiful. And you, my friend, are beautiful for coming tonight. We're at the end of our show here. Certainly, as we do every week, I have Mike promote something and I have Tony promote something. But I know you wanted to promote 3 Men and a Baby. What is it called? What is it, this thing?
Married, Single, and a Baby. Tony had it on the screen. The website is marriedsingleandababy.com. I know it's a lot to write, but that's just the website. And we're going to be in...
Good marketing. What about the...
We'll be in Pennsylvania in March and April. We'll be in Sugarloaf, New York in June. And we're going to be somewhere on Long Island in the fall.
Do you see that these tickets are going to be selling? You think people...
They're selling already.
Wow.
We've done the show. We did it at the Madison Theater in Rockville Center last year, and we've done it. We've done it in New Jersey at the Surflight Theater.
Yes.
We'll probably be back there in the fall as well.
Okay.
So people love the theme show. They like the theme.
They like
behind.
that.
Yeah.
Like
so
that. Good.
like Funny Women of a Certain Age. That's a show that Vanessa did on
loved it
with on Showtime. Did
on
you see
TV.
it?
Of course I did.
So that show tours as well, and people just love the theme.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of themes, what do we have with the traveling road show, Dog and Pony, Tony? What do you have going on?
Go to knockemdeadcomedy.com. I don't remember any dates off the top of my head. We're going to be in Freehold, New Jersey at the end of April. So that's the only date that comes to my head. I'd like, if you don't mind, I'd like to just push this Sunday here at the club.
Yeah, so please do that. We have coming up this Sunday. We mentioned a couple of weeks ago. There's a comic that many of us know. Her name is Palma. She's dealing with some cancer-related issues. There's a fundraiser here at Governor's on Sunday. The start time, Tony, just go ahead and
the doors open at 12:30. Showtime is 2.
Okay, yeah. So it's March 23rd.
Oh, it's an afternoon.
2025. Yeah. Doors at 12:30. Showtimes at 2. Punchlines for Palma. An afternoon of comedy with 10 plus of our fellow comedians. You can call 516-938-2929 or go to www.govs.com. I will tell you that for all the times that I've performed over the years, the feedback that I will almost always get from people is that the best shows are shows like this, where there's going to be a bunch of comics and people are coming to
support a cause,
and volunteer their time, and this show is going to be an absolute killer. So let's go ahead and help Palma.
It'll be packed.
She is revered and loved. Let's go ahead and support her and hope that she can go ahead and kick this awful disease. With that said, thank you, Chris Monty. Thank you, Tony Walker. Keegs, we love you. We'll be back next week together. Hope you're having a great gig. I'm sure you are. And as always, Hershey and the Keegs fans, please follow, please like, please tell a friend, and support the Hershey and Keegs sponsors. Have a great week.